My name is Vinay Mascara. I'm one of the co-founders here at CollegeVine. Today's video, we're going to be reacting to some famous college admissions scenes from movies and TV shows. I've been an admissions expert for the last, I guess it's going on 9 years now, and I've advised thousands of families, if not tens of thousands of families now, on the college admissions process. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at some famous college admissions scenes from movies and TV shows and see if there's any lessons we can learn, or if there's how much truth there is to some of these scenes. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So the first thing we're gonna be looking at here is from Legally Blonde, which is an awesome, awesome movie. So I'm gonna go ahead and start, pull up the clip here, and then we're gonna go ahead and you're gonna watch alongside me.
Oh, hi. My name is Elle Woods, and for my admissions essay, I'm gonna tell all of you at Harvard why I'm gonna make an amazing lawyer.
Okay, so this should go without saying, but you probably shouldn't film first of all, you can't really film your college essay. Colleges still require you to submit a piece of writing. And if you were gonna film a video essay, you probably shouldn't do it in a swimming pool in a bathing suit. But, this is obviously a satirical look at the college essay, and this is obviously being submitted to law school, but there are actually some interesting lessons you can take from Elle's video.
As president of my sorority, I'm skilled at commanding the attention of a room and discussing very important issues.
So this is actually an interesting one, because I think that sometimes when you're looking at building out your extracurricular resume, a lot of you out there don't necessarily think of your sort of non-serious or non-academic extracurricular activities. And something like being a sorority president, now it's a little bit more of a formal organization, but even ways that you show leadership amongst groups of your peers or groups of friends in informal settings, that's the kind of thing that you can describe in an essay or on your resume. So I think it's actually kind of a cool lesson you can take from this.
It has come to my attention that the maintenance staff is switching our toilet paper from Charmin to generic. All those opposed to chafing, please say aye. Aye.
Oh man, this movie's so good.
Neither type of opera or neither type of rap is on sale. B, neither type of jazz and neither type of opera is on sale. C, neither type of opera and neither type of soul.
I'm pretty sure they put actual LSAT type questions into the script here.
Hey.
Okay. I'm able to recall hundreds of important details at the drop of a hat. Hey, Elle, do you know what happened on Days of Our Lives yesterday? Why, yes, Margot, I do. Once again, we join Hope in the search for her identity. As you know, she's been brainwashed by the evil Stefano.
So there's actually kind of a cool concept that Elle uses here in her essay, we'll call it an essay, which is that she's displaying an academic ability, right, or an academic skill. In this case, remembering a concept or memory, but there's obviously other ones you can apply this to. And she's kind of presenting this skill in an unconventional way, right? Like you wouldn't necessarily think of remembering facts from soap opera as a way of describing that you, or showing that you have a great memory, which is very important in the context of, going to law school and having to memorize hundreds and hundreds of cases and stuff like that for the bar exam. So there's actually a really cool lesson here, which is that you can apply, if you can find a sort of unconventional way to show off an academic skill, that can sometimes make for an even more powerful essay than if you were to just say outright, hey, I'm great at memorizing things. Next scene we're gonna take a look at here is from a TV show called Atypical, also very, very cool, about a student who is on the spectrum and many of his friends, both on and not on the spectrum, and his family members. Very cool show, very good show on Netflix. So we're gonna listen to Sam's college essay from Atypical, or at least his first attempt at a college essay, and you'll see why I gave that disclaimer.
And even though it was way, way too short, it's an accomplishment that will stay with me forever. No.
What?
Sam, you can't write your college essay about seeing an exotic dancer's boobies.
Why not?
This is a great scene, and it's done really well. Now, this should go without saying, but don't write your college essay about going to an adult establishment. Like, I probably wouldn't do that if I were you. I've never really experienced this personally, but I do really, at least this specific concept personally, but I do really empathize with his college counselor, college advisor in that moment, because sometimes you read a student's essay and your immediate reaction is just, no. Nope, go back to the drawing board, start over, this is not okay. or at least this is not going to work.
They asked about my greatest accomplishments. That's one of my greatest accomplishments.
Okay, but then you go on to say that you don't do any extracurriculars because they're too crowded, and you opted out of PE because the mesh shorts ride up your butt. Why?
Because it's true.
Okay, well, in this case, true is less important than appropriate.
That's actually a great point, right? Like, true is less important than appropriate, right? And, you can use the word appropriate in the context of don't write about adult establishments in your college essay. You can also use appropriate in the context of, hey, make sure this is relevant to the prompt or relevant to, like, the major that you're applying to, right? You don't always have to state everything about your application or state everything in an entirely, like, share every single possible thing, basically, right? So that's actually a good point from the college advisor there. Wow, we found a competent college advisor in a TV show. That is surprising.
I want to hear about you, Sam. Who you are, what makes you tick. What about your autism?
What about it?
Yeah, I mean, the way she's encouraging Sam here to share his personality, share kind of what makes him tick, who he is, like, great advice. Like, normally I watch a guidance counselor in a college, sort of like in a TV show or in a movie, and they're giving advice, and I'm just like, this is not how any real guidance counselor talks, and this is also bad advice. Like, this is not how college admission works in 2022. I think it shows, like, from 2019, but same principle. But this is actually really good advice. I'm honestly shocked to see that in a TV show.
Well, why don't you write about that? I mean, you get good grades, you've had the same job for over a year. Those are major accomplishments for anyone with ASD. I mean, half the neurotypicals I know can't even do that. You're a real success story, Sam.
No,
No?
autism isn't an accomplishment. It's something I was born with. You wouldn't write an essay about having 10 fingers and 10 toes, would you? No, because that would be really, 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 really dumb. So I'll stick with the boobs.
Take another crack at it, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, so this is a really, really interesting scene because it actually gets something that happens a lot when you're a college advisor. Because sometimes when a student is facing mental challenges or when you're you're dealing with something, whether that's being on the spectrum or facing mental health challenges or having dealt with depression or loss or something like that, or even you just have a personality trait that you don't necessarily have any control over, right? It's a really tricky situation because on the one hand, you as a student, in order to come to terms with that, right, may have, sort of started to think about it in the way that Sam does, which is like, this is just a part of me, right? It's not something unique or special, it's just a part of me. And so oftentimes the college process is presented as this kind of aspirational thing where it's supposed to be about the things that you choose to be as opposed to the things that you are. But at the same time, right, like if Sam were to write an essay about how autism shapes the way he interacts with the world, or even how it has caused challenges for him that he's worked to overcome, that there is probably a powerful essay there. But, if Sam doesn't want to write about it, then that's also something you have to respect. And if there's parents out there watching this video, this goes kind of double for you, right? Where if there's something that your kid doesn't want to write about, ultimately you should respect that, even if, sometimes you may believe, even correctly, that there's a great essay in that concept. Next up, we're going to take a look at Blackish, which is another great show. Wow. The team that picked these clips is really trying to let me have a good time as I'm reacting to all these college admission scenes.
Hey, I finished my essay.
Another college essay here.
Read it.
Oh, imagine living in a home where your mother can't stop having children, where you are constantly
taking in another mouth to feed. A home where grandparents, uncles, siblings all huddle together in one room, where only the strongest will survive.
So this is another show that I've watched, and this is a really funny scene at first glance. At least it's played for laughs because in the context of the show, the student who's writing or sharing her essay, her father is an advertising exec, her mom is a neurosurgeon, so her family is really well off. She attends a private school, and then you're presented with these sort of moments in isolation that are, I guess, technically true in terms of the words she is saying, but obviously not kind of a factual connotation it's not necessarily consistent with the subtext that she's trying to provide, right? The subtext she's trying to provide is that she's had to overcome a lot of challenges even though she comes from a very privileged background, right? Now, obviously, in this context, the character Zoe and her parents are Black, so there is a different set of challenges that faces as a young Black woman in America, but especially when you are an affluent white or Asian student, if you try to do something like this, it's going to come off as super tone deaf, right? Because even if it is technically true that there's lots of people competing for food in your house, like just contextually, and this is shown really well visually through the scene, it's going to come off as super tone deaf.
A home where you'll never know where your next meal is coming from.
Chipotle or Katsuya?
A home where your mother is in and out of the hospital, where men don't vote, where the man who may or may not be your father often skips
Work
work
to feed his addictions. I don't have to imagine this because this is my life. So you are using white guilt for your college essay.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, someone's getting into college! Yes! By the way, we're part Samoan.
So, so the mention of white guilt is played for laughs here, right? Because it's kind of winking and nudging since both her parents went to college, kind of aware of how college system works. But if you are a student of color, it is worth noting here that many colleges are in fact looking to recruit Black and Hispanic students, and that you should definitely consider applying to colleges even if your profile isn't quite at the level of the averages for accepted students, right? Because many colleges are actively looking to recruit students with your background, and the mention of white guilt in the context of the scene is really hinting at that, which is that colleges are looking to bring on students with diverse backgrounds, maybe in part as a sort of nod towards the fact that Black and Hispanic students have faced lots of structural challenges in this country's history. So it's played for laughs here, but there is a useful sort of point in there for some of you. Next up, we're going to take a look at Booksmart, which is a movie that's a little bit more recent. I think it was like a critical indie darling, I believe is the term. Whatever. I'm not a movie person to that level. I do watch a lot of movies, as you can tell. I never watched this movie though.
Oh, please do not stop on my account. You know what? My badge is stuffed with diplomas. Soon it's going to be stuffed with job offers and glowing profiles and commendations from the governor. So while you guys were all studying...
I don't know where the scene is going. I can already say that I don't like this person. Or at least I don't like her now. Maybe by the end of the movie I would have grown to love her. Again, never seen this movie, so don't know where the scene's going, but I can already tell I don't really love this person in the way they talk about themselves.
Studying AP hand jobs, I was kicking ass and
Some good writing, though, as far as I can tell.
busting curves. And I'm going to continue to do that at Yale next year, so I like my choices, and wherever you three are next year, I hope you do too.
It's a well-written scene.
I'm going to Yale too.
What?
I'm incredible at hand jobs, but I also got a 1560 on the SATs.
No, you didn't.
I got in early.
To Yale.
Yeah, so this should go without saying, but I don't think this character literally wrote that she was incredible at performing a sexual act in her college essay. So yeah. I would also say that, this... So the writing's actually pretty good. It's pretty funny. This is making this in the kind of on-the-nose way, right? I feel like we've seen this point made before, that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. So it's a bit cliched, ironically enough. But yeah, let's keep going and kind of see. I think this is going in a certain way. Let's see if it goes in the way that I think it's going.
Oh, Tanner, where are you going to school?
I'm playing soccer at Stanford.
Stanford University. What are you guys talking about? That's...
Stanford.
Stanford University.
Hey, I'm not going to college. I got recruited to go code for Google. I mean, it's not Apple, but the bennies are pretty tight, man, and it's mid-six figures, so I'm not complaining.
I'm so proud of you.
my boy.
It's amazing.
Hey, you failed the 7th grade twice.
Rule of threes.
You guys are serious?
Hey, I might pretend like I don't know you next year. No offense.
This isn't possible. You guys don't even care about school.
No, we just don't only care about school.
Okay, I've decided none of the people involved in this. Yeah, okay. A couple lessons here. So one is, like I said, I think this lesson is being presented in the most obvious way possible. But it is genuinely true that it's not just one kind of profile that gets into a selective college in terms of like the type of person that you are. It's not just the sort of 150 extracurricular activities, leadership positions, very studious at everything. But at the same time, it's kind of interesting that the character mentions that she had a 15-16 on her SATs. Now, I would have loved to have heard what she did outside the classroom, because chances are she did a bunch of other interesting stuff outside the classroom. But it is the case that you kind of have to have those baselines. But it's not just sort of one path you can take beyond having those like academic baselines. Again, a very basic lesson presented in kind of on the nose way. I'm kind of torn actually, because I thought the writing was kind of clever, but also it presented this sort of I guess comparison in a very on the nose kind of way. So good and bad. The other thing I thought was kind of interesting, this character was played in as a side note, between the rival between these two main women. But Google doesn't really engineer, to be clear, Google doesn't really hire engineers out of high school, but it is true that relative to 20 or even 10 years ago, there are more pathways to a high-paying career that don't involve an elite school, especially in the tech world. I've got a couple of friends, actually, who are making high six figures, 5-6 years out of college in tech, and they all went to colleges ranked outside the top 50. If you've got the ability, your path may be a little harder if you don't go to an elite school, but it is doable. Now, and this is a little variable from field to field. There are some fields and some areas where the brand name of the institution makes a difference. Tech isn't necessarily one of those, though. Okay, next up we have Lady Bird, which is another one of those really critically acclaimed movies. So kind of interesting one here. Let's take a look.
She looked up and across the barn.
Does this sound like
and her lips
1992?
came together and smiled mysteriously.
The car kind of looks older. That's why I'm asking. But
you've been listening to The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. If you...
Our college trip took 21 hours and 5 minutes.
Wow. Real life cassettes. I haven't seen those in the wild since, I guess, 2002, 2005. Okay, so this movie's a throwback.
Hey, let's just sit with what we heard.
Are you serious?
Well, we don't have to constantly be entertaining ourselves, do we?
Oh, speaking of college visits, the other thing that comes to mind, I heard them say that, it's kind of presented as a throwaway, but not necessarily related to what's happening in this clip here, but one of the underrated things you can do is to actually visit look-alike schools near your hometown. I often get asked a lot, hey, what do I do if I can't afford to fly across the country to my dream school? Well, again, there's no substitute for ultimately visiting the school that you're applying to, but one of the underrated things you can do is to visit what I call look-alike schools. So, right, if you live in California, your dream school is Harvard, go visit Stanford. It's not a perfect parable, but you'll at least get a sense for what it's kind of like to go to a really selective private institution that's much closer by. Maybe you can afford to drive to Stanford in a way that you can't afford to fly to and from Harvard, whether that's because of financial reasons or because you don't have the time, right? It's not perfect. You're not going to learn the exact culture of the institution that you're looking at, but you'll learn more than if you just stayed at home and tried to use the internet.
I wish I could live through something.
Aren't you?
Nope. The only exciting thing about 2002 is that it's a palindrome.
Oh, 2002.
Okay, fine. Well, yours is the worst life of all, so you win.
Oh, so now you're mad?
No, it's
because
just you're
I
being
wanted
ridiculous
to
because
to
you have a great life.
I'm sorry, I'm not perfect.
No one's asking you to be perfect. Just consider it would do.
I don't even want to go to school in this state anyway. I hate California. I want to go to the East Coast.
Your dad and I will barely be able to afford in-state tuition.
There are loans,
your brother,
scholarships.
So this is really interesting. The mention of in-state tuition, pretty interesting. Especially in an expensive state like California, it's probably the case that there's a lot of out-of-state private colleges that offer pretty generous merit aid. It's kind of a misnomer, but a lot of private colleges, even if they've got that $60, $70K sticker price, they do offer a lot of financial aid and scholarship money that gets down that net cost. And especially in a state like California or New Jersey or Maryland, you might find that some of those out-of-state private colleges, when you add in that merit scholarship money versus full sticker in-state tuition plus room and board and stuff, it's going to end up pretty even. So the actual out-of-pocket may not necessarily always be the same thing as in-state tuition being so much cheaper. Now, in southern states like Florida or Alabama or Texas, your in-state's going to be a lot cheaper. So it really depends on where you live.
Smart brother, he can't even find a job.
He and Shelly work. They have
They
jobs.
bag at the grocery store. That is not a career, and they went to Berkeley. Your father's company is laying off people right and left. Did you even know that? No, of course you don't, because you don't think about anybody but yourself. An immaculate heart is already a luxury.
Immaculate fart. You wanted that, not me.
Miguel saw someone knifed in front of him at Sac High. Is that what you want? So you're telling me that you want to see somebody knifed right in front of you?
Barely
Right in
saw
front of
that. I want to go where culture is, like
How
New
in the
York,
world did I raise such a
or at least
snob?
Connecticut, or
I'm sorry, and I guess no offense to the great people of the state of Connecticut, but I want to go where culture is, and at least Connecticut probably don't belong in the same sentence. Just being brutally honest. Anyway.
I'm sure where writers live in the
Get
woods.
into those schools anyway.
Mom!
You can't even pass your driver's test.
Because you wouldn't let me practice
The way
enough.
that you work, or the way that you don't work, you're not even worth state tuition, Christine.
My name is Ladybird.
Well, actually, it's not, and it's ridiculous.
Call me
because your name
Ladybird
is
like you
Christine.
said you would.
You should just go to City College. You know, with your work ethic, just go to City College and then to jail, and then back to City College, and then maybe you'd learn to pull yourself up.
To be clear, I don't think there's a pipeline between Sacramento City College, I'm assuming it's community college, and jail. So a lot of stereotyping from the mom here in this scene, not just about college admissions.
Up and not expect everybody to do everything.
Huh? Well, maybe I should go watch Ladybird. That was a while. I did not think that scene was going there. Huh. Never seen this movie? Maybe I should. So with that, I'm going to leave you all to it. This is the first in what we hope to be a kind of series of us reacting to different kinds of stuff here, sharing our college admissions expertise. But yeah, with that, be well, everyone, and I will see you next time.